Oh, me? What did I do all weekend? I watched preseason action. Somebody's alarm is going off here because it's time for the show to start. We've got Darius Butler. We're going to talk about Brock Purdy. I watched it all. He looked amazing. We're going to mention Aaron Rodgers. We're not talking about him. We're talking about the Giants on the show today. We'll get to the Steelers. Who said to not sleep on the Steelers? Oh, it was me. Yeah, we're going to get into all of it. We're very excited to have Darius Butler on the show. Sony Michelle, a two-time Super Bowl champion who I championed from being that first-round pick for the Patriots so long ago. He's going to hang out with us. I need to ask him about the Zeke fit. How does he feel about Ramondre? It's always a committee up there with Belichick. We can do like a Belichick versus McVay Super Bowl squad comp going on. It is all happening. We are alive in L.A. I really did watch all the preseason action. We have a great new producer on board, Mike Goldfarb. Talked to him all weekend long, also getting prep for this week, the show, this season, and all of it. And we will have Darius Butler on the program, and we will have Sony Michelle, who I feel like people assume they know why he walked away, why he decided to hang it up. Look, I get to talk to him. I'm so glad that he's coming on the show. Very grateful. And grateful to be here. We had quite a weekend here in Los Angeles. And I think people are still going through it. And I don't know. I don't watch the news, so I don't want to talk about it. I actually took it out of the cold open because I don't want to make light of a situation that is ongoing, and I'm sure people are dealing with some bad stuff. But the earthquake, I was just not ready for. Okay, people, it's whatever time I just got off the phone with said producer Mike Goldfarb. Maybe we were on the phone. I don't know what was going on. I don't remember. But I was sitting on my bed, robe, just hanging out, doing my Sunday thing, waiting for hopefully the Saints Chargers game to get underway at SoFi, which nobody liked that was happening. Nobody was excited to be at SoFi for that one. But I'm sitting there, and the thing happens, and it everything starts shaking, and I just jumped into my bathtub. What are you supposed to do?
Well, your bathtub was supposed to be filled with water because of the hurricane.
No, but are you what are you actually supposed to do? Get in your bath? And I was like, do I get in the doorway, or is that not what you do? Is that door frame is what you do?
Under a table, you grab the back of your head.
I am so ill prepared for this. I want out of California so badly, you have no idea. So all day I just had this is gonna happen, and I literally walked around my house with my running shoes on. Because I felt an earthquake's going to happen. Or I'm kind of on a cliff. I'm now it's going to fall down the mountain. I can't be in California. I'm not equipped. I am not mentally equipped for what this ordeal is all about. Not okay.
No, they call it the hurrquake.
And people in California are they excitedly, giddily send each other texts earthquake, emoji, so fun. What is wrong with people in this town? No, it is not okay, and I wanted to leave. But we are here on a Monday, and we're excited. We have a lot to talk about ahead of the preseason. So let's get into it. Here's some things outside of the earthquake, now in studio, did you guys hear that sound before the show? There was a horn. It was the orcs fighting for Middle Earth in the middle of the studio. We don't know what's going on in California, but we will keep you guys updated here at the news desk at Up and Adams. I want to get into what's going on in the Bay Area, okay? Brock Purdy, oh my gosh, here's my big takeaway from the weekend, the most important one. He returned to game action since the offseason elbow surgery. Remember he was throwing towels and nobody was believing he was okay. He looked so good. We had a reporter on our show say he might be better than he was last. She might be right, okay? Adios to the banter about his practice interceptions. Everyone shut up. No criticism when he's ripping throws like this. He finished 4-5, 65 yards through the area, and a nice 8-yard scramble as well. And he takes the Niners to a short field goal on his lone drive of the game. Now, there wasn't anything fireworks, jaw-dropping. It wasn't a 7.0 on the old Richter scale. Is that the earthquake thing?
Yeah, Richter scale.
Is it? What's the tornado one?
I think it's
F5.
F5, yeah, Twister, right?
Shout out Helen Hunt. All right. But he did look exactly this Brock Purdy, like the guy that we saw in San Francisco, leading this offense efficiently, taking them to 8 straight wins down the stretch of the season last year and into the great unknown of the playoffs. Okay, and this is sort of what we were waiting on here, okay? It's one thing for Kyle Shanahan, who sort of murky, mercurial, whatever. Like he sits up there and he's like, Brock's fine, Brock's doing great. It's one thing for him to tell us that and say he's clearly the starter, but I do think that we all needed to see it for ourselves, okay? Our personal egos are invested in this, and we are not capable of trusting Shanahan or the medical staff or just having blind faith. No, we need to play the role of Doogie Howser / Doug Ross from ER / hi, Dr. Nick, and we need to sort of medically clear people ourselves. I believe that's part of like our collective consciousness. Like we need to see it ourselves. Well, he passed with flying colors, okay? We are discharging that idea from our collective subconscious IR, okay? And now I think the convo has to spin forward to Trey Lance. What are we doing with you? We know Sam Darnold, NFL starter, can be at least a capable backup, if not more. He can step in. So it makes sense to trade Trey. But if I'm trading Trey, I think I said this last week, like wave that kind of sexy stat line from week 1 of the preseason. And then it was pretty nice from week 2 as well. Talk up your quarterback. Say he's good. He could be. That is not what Shanahan's doing. You'd think Kyle would pump up his guy, but not when he was asked about him last week. It was sort of negative, or at least he didn't clear up any negativity surrounding his quarterback.
It just goes with the territory. I mean, it goes with it for quarterbacks. It goes with it for anybody who's a high draft pick, but especially a quarterback. You watch, and that's one of the tough things, I think, for that position, but also for high draft picks. I mean, you watch receivers come in the league and they have a few drops early in camp, and there becomes a lot of pressure on them. People want to see those people take off and do it right away and have no flaws, and that's just part of it.
Is it kind of like Captain Lackluster here? Is it more about like not making it, you know, too much for Brock to handle if he talks up Trey or any of that? But I mean, Kyle there, and several times, as depicted on Rob Guerrera's timeline, did not go to bat for Trey's abilities or, you know, how great he can be in this league or a piece from another team, kind of at all. And if Trey isn't in the future plans of the San Francisco 49ers, which it clearly seems like he's not, I do feel like let's talk him up and trade him, right? The Niners, they're slated to be $12 million over the cap next year, and that's without Nick Bosa on the book. So trading Trey, guys, saves them a much-needed $9 million against the cap over the next 2 seasons. So, I mean, there's a bunch of teams that are popping up. I'm hearing a lot of Bucks talk. You got the Trask, you got the Baker Mayfield situation. I think that'd be cool. That makes sense for him to maybe go there. But what do the kids say on Twitter? Hear me out. But hear me out, okay? How about the Vikings? This is the team that I saw pop up, and I said, oh, I like that. First of all, cute connection, family vibe here. That's his hometown team. You want to send him there. There's no rush for him to like get out there and do anything. He can sit, he can develop for a year behind a quarterback who will help teach him, who's not afraid to, you know, he's a very made man in Kirk Cousins, who's still starting there and has been consistent for the past almost decade for this team, which is crazy that much time's gone by. Cousins hits free agency next year, so this would be a nice sort of fit if he does sit and learn from him and all that osmosis sort of creeps in, then maybe before he, you know, Kirk moves on somewhere else and you can get him to start, it gives you some cap relief. If you're on this Viking squad, it's a team that's sort of trying to compete, was the division leader last year, while they rebuild, while they retool, while they say goodbye to pieces like Eric Kendricks. They have not addressed the quarterback spot because it's been Cousins, consistent. So trade of the Vikings, not the craziest idea. Okay, elsewhere in the world of the young quarterbacks, we got to see Tua on the field for the first time this preseason, and it got off to a rough start, just like my Sunday with the earthquake. Let's take a look. Oh, Tua! Oof, woof, 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 woof. It's an interception on his very first pass. But you know what? The rebound is impressive. Everybody messes up, but it's how quickly can you just course correct, right? How quickly can you bring yourself back and not melt down? That's something I'm learning, working on. Don't have the meltdown. Don't keep it going. Bounce back. And that's what he did. And shout out to the defense, by the way. Christian Wilkins, he's holding out. The guy with the towel dances, all that, he's holding out. That's not happening and isn't really nice right now. But there was a nice, huge goal line stand with the defense. And then it was all about what Tua was able to do. He rallies back from the pick and a negative run on first down. He marches this Dolphin squad 98 yards for a touchdown, and with how much has been thrown on his plate, mentally, emotionally, physically over the past calendar year, I liked the resilience. I liked seeing the bounce back. And I also do want to talk a little judo here for a second. Do I know anything about judo? No. But remember, the wonderful Nate Burleson and I sat down with Tua during Super Bowl week, and I asked him, what had happened to him, the concussions, the mental of it, the physical of it, how it's going to affect how he will approach this 2023 season.
We got like a plan set up, and I'll be doing judo on Fridays just so that I can kind of figure out, like understanding my body and how to fall and
Wait, that's what judo does?
You're about to be more dangerous than ever, man.
Oh man, not trying to be a dangerous person in that way. Just trying to help
Understand the body and movement. Yeah.
I think that's amazing. So that was actually a news story nobody had heard before, that he was working on that ways to protect himself. And so you heard it here first, and you saw it this weekend. There is a difference. It might be a little bit, so the kind of stuff that we talk about and notice here. It will affect how things go for this Dolphins squad in this crazy division. There's a difference in how he's taking hits and going to the ground. First, if you check out the left side of the screen, so this is last year. This is Matt Milano. Tua's taking a hit from him. And you see, right, he hit his head. His head hits the ground on the way down. It's ugly. We don't want to even replay that. Okay? Ugh. Then you look at Saturday. Lo and behold, as he's taken the hit here, which he's gonna do, no matter how good anything is. Okay, you see that? That's a little tuck and roll. That's a little move, I guess, with judo inspiration to make sure that he keeps his head protected. So I don't know if he's learned any other moves that we'll maybe see throughout the course of the season. I have not talked to him since talking to him at the Super Bowl, but I did think it was cool to sort of already be able to see what I think is a noticeable difference in the way he's taking hits. So hopefully it means we do see and can expect and hope for a fully healthy Tua this year, because I think the Dolphins could do something very special. Now, we're going to stay on the East Coast. Our buddy Brian Costello of the New York Post, he reported that Aaron Rodgers is going to suit up for the Jets' final preseason game against the Giants next Saturday, okay? The news of this is he doesn't do this. This doesn't happen. And it just adds to the folklore, right, to use the Taylor Swift album, which he'll be so excited about, of Aaron Rodgers being like a new guy down for anything. This is his first preseason action in 5 years. So that made some headlines, as did some comments to local CBS there in New York, that he is planning on sticking around, winning a couple of rings, I guess. I'm inferring that, but then handing the ship over to Zach Wilson for the next 15. Okay, not what I want to talk about. I just wanted to report that and let you guys know. The story here is the team that they're facing in the preseason. We saw something awesome happening with the other MetLife team this weekend, and we talked about a lot of the upgrades that we saw Joe Shane make this offseason, and we got our first chance to really see everything clicking on Friday night. First, new addition, Darren Waller. Come on, he was lighting up. We told you this is gonna be the most exciting show in town. I cannot wait. He was lighting up all over the place. Wide receiver, he had 3 for 30 from Daniel Jones on the Giants' opening touchdown drive. Jones was 8 of 9 for 69 yards on that drive and looked every bit of a franchise quarterback that got paid, feels secure, has Darren Waller, has a say. I'm so excited. And then we got to see speed. We need that. We need that. Make this offense more dynamic. Give it to me, okay? Jalen Hyatt, 3rd-round pick. He just torched the Panthers' young, feisty defense that I talk about all the time. It was a 33-yard touchdown, making waves, by the way, this offseason for clocking 24 miles per hour on the practice field. That is an NFL record, okay? And we saw it translate into action there this weekend. So it's just a preseason. I know everyone's going to say, calm down. It is significant, though. It is no secret to anyone that the Giants lacked weapons in this receiving core last year. Daniel Jones, Brian Daboll did an amazing job of, doing whatever they could, getting to the playoffs with what they have. But if you check this out, the Giants, they had no vertical presence, okay, in the passing game last year. They ranked dead last in air yards per target. I hate to talk air yards, but it makes the case here. 29th in explosive plays in the passing game, 29th in yards per completion, and none of that's a slight on DJ, people. They didn't have the talent around him to push the ball. Having athletes and skilled players, matchup nightmares, the caliber of a Waller and a Hyatt, that'll add a whole other layer to this offense that we haven't seen yet, and I think it'll bring out an entire other level of Daniel Jones as well. Gronk sat here on our show and said, Brian Daboll could get me out of retirement. And I said, expand on that. Why? Because you love him so much. He was your tight ends coach for 4 years. What is that? And he said, yeah, that. But this team did not have the talent. He was blatant about it. This team did not have the talent on their own to make it to the playoffs. It's Brian Daboll who got them there. Now they have him clicking, stability at the coaching position, the quarterback position, and you're bringing in the talent that Gronk says that they didn't have. How far can they go in the NFC East? We'll see, but I was very excited to see that. Hopefully we'll have a little bit more news on our show about the Giants. Tease. at some point. Now, when we get back here, our good friend Darius Butler is on the show. He will be discussing the latest on Jonathan Taylor's ongoing situation. Oh, in Indy, nobody really wants to talk about that, but I have an option here. Should JT take a page out of Harden's book to try to get what he wants? We're talking fat suits on the show.
Robinson stays in the backfield. Takes the handoff. Bijan Robinson, his first carry is a first down. Gets 13.
And the crowd goes wild. Now, you're not going to catch me rooting against my Bengals at any point, but that Bijan Robinson run got me excited. He couldn't miss it. It was his first run. Everybody was tweeting, and for good reason. It's early so far, but he's looking every bit of the part that was being touted and is being touted as a top 3 to 5 fantasy running back, which is crazy for a rookie. But I do want to say, ha ha ha. And this is like too early for this, and people will, I'm sure, bring this back to me when Bijan doesn't have like an incredible night or it doesn't change the complexion of the entire offense in Atlanta. But I remember being in Kansas City in my hotel room because I'm an old grandma who did not want to go to the draft 3 blocks away and stand there and watch I was in bed eating, delivery pizza from, let me guess where I got, Pickleman's. That's where I was in Kansas City. And Marissa and Matt and Richard, they were all at the draft. And Bijan's name was called out by the Falcons. And I said, oh my gosh, are you kidding? Here's a tweet that I said, okay? It was about Bijan and Kyle Pitts, my goodness. Because, and everyone was like really negative about it. I got dragged for this because it was like, hey, don't you know, like still no quarterback. What else we got? People were tweeting, it was like hundreds of tweets. People were really negative about the Bijan experience. Who's the quarterback? And then I think we have another one. They ain't got no QB dough, okay? Yeah, I do think it's fair to question the quarterback spot. Of course it is. But, and without being wildly disrespectful to Ritter, who hasn't even gotten a chance yet, I'm not sure that that's the biggest question I have about this team, this division, any of it, okay? They need Desmond Ritter to be okay. Do they need him to be great to win this division? I don't know. So we don't even know what the quarterback situation is yet. The real question is, can Arthur Smith, the madman, take them there, okay? We know Smith got this job by leading a top 10 offense in Tennessee. We know more about Smith than we do about Ritter, so let's focus on that instead, okay? It was a team that made an AFC championship game with Ryan Tannehill at quarterback, led by a star running back, what do you know, and Derrick Henry, and a top-tier wide receiver in A.J. Brown. So while they still have a little something to prove on the field, I do think this trio of Bijan Robinson, of Kyle Pitts at Drake London might be, who's a more athletic trio in the NFL, okay? It's one. I'd put them up there, okay? The defense is upgraded. They stole Jesse Bates from the Bengals. I hated to see that. They have a veteran in Calais Campbell. They have Bud Dupree. So what do you really need out of Ritter, okay? What can Arthur Smith get out of him? That's more of the question. If Ritter can be, I'm going to say like a floor Ryan Tannehill-esque steady hand at quarterback, you can't tell me the Falcons won't be a factor in the division race this year. It's up for grabs. And speaking of Atlanta, by the way, and you guys can give me your thoughts on Bijan, on Pitts, on what you're hearing maybe locally there about Desmond Ritter. But I do think it's going to be, as the preseason rolls on and people start making their picks for division winners, outside of the NFC West, where definitely the upset pick will be the Steelers over the Niners. It'll be like the easy, I'm so risky, but not really that much at all. It will be this division being taken by the Falcons. I can see it happening, revamped defense, all of that. And you know what else I saw as I was watching the game on Friday night against those Bengals? We love Arthur Blank. This is a guy who, from his Home Depot days, puts the customer first. When they opened up that stadium down in Atlanta, it was all about creating an experience. They made the seats wider, less seats, more space. They had the brilliance of making food affordable. And this is what somebody tweeted that they tweeted that $20 will get you at the Mercedes-Benz Superdome, which we love. Look at that. You're getting a soft pretzel. You're getting the popcorn. I'm not a popcorn at the game gal. Okay, I don't know what kind of, there's a pizza. You can get all of this food. So I'm looking at the menu right here, and we're gonna bring in my guy, Darius Butler, who's gonna be joining us. $20, I'm gonna go, I would not do a cheeseburger, Darius. I would not, I like how you have the chips, the cheese has to be separate. Don't you put the cheese all over my chips. because you're going to miss some. You're going to make 40% of them will be soggy. I need the cheese separate, load up the chips just plain separate, and then give me jalapenos on the side. I would get that. And they're having they have candy for $3.50. That's cheese nachos are $3. Like that's the jam right there.
Hey, this throwback, man. There's some great pricing. That stadium is unbelievable. Got a chance to actually call a game there last season, a college game, Ohio State and the Georgia Bulldogs for the Peach Bowl. But if I had to put an order together here, it's a little small writing, but give me a bacon cheeseburger.
Okay. $7.
Give me some chips and a ready-made cocktail. Gotta have a ready-made cocktail.
What is your ready-made cocktail of choice?
I don't know. As long as it got some tequila in there, I'm fine. Bacon cheeseburger, chips, and tequila, I'm good. As long as it's not 9 in the morning. Like it was over there in Arizona on your set.
I was going to say, don't pretend that you're all of a sudden drinking tequila. I had to, beg you. I was in your contract it says you have to drink tequila with me at 9 in the morning, Darius.
Unbelievable. Bad influence, Kay. Bad influence.
Did you see Bijan's run? I'm excited about him. Did you hear what I said about Ritter?
Come on. Kay, it was a 12-yard run, Kay. Relax. And as the great Sammy Davis 5000 would say, who is their quarterback, though? Who's the quarterback, okay? And that's still a question there, but I'm with you there with the athleticism of Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson. We just got to see more out of all of them. And then obviously question marks at quarterback, but I don't think they win. I don't even think they compete to win that division this year. And I love R. Smith. I love him. I love him, love the mustache. I think that the Saints win this division. I think the Saints win this division comfortably by a couple.
Wow,
games.
Look at that. The DB putting it all in the quarterback's hands. Derek Carr, obviously, maybe the best quarterback in that division until Trey Lance, of course. Trey Lance might be a Buccaneer before the week is done. We'll see how that goes. I want to talk to you. And here's, guys, the odds over at FanDuel Sportsbook. Take a look. Saints, the favorites. I don't know. It's a nice little sneaky pick with those Falcons, but I'm not touching the Bucs or the Panthers, at least for now. But I want to talk about your Colts. My friend, all eyes, speaking of running backs, on Jonathan Taylor, the injury, the contract, the situation. I think the real Jonathan Taylor question is, should he be handling this more like the NBA James Harden situation? Because I wasn't even, not an NBA girl. I'm just learning, but, Harden last week in China offering up his not-so-shy opinion of the 76ers president of operations, Daryl Morey. How close is Jonathan Taylor to lighting up Chris Ballard in this fashion?
No, absolutely not. I'm very opposed to Jonathan Taylor taking this route, especially, the NFL is a completely different beast than the NBA, and everything that's going on with the NBA. I think the NFL will make sure they stay in a completely different lane, especially when you talk about the owner of the Colts, who's kind of one of the mouthpieces for the owners right now. So I definitely don't think Jonathan Taylor should take that route. I think, honestly, Jonathan Taylor, just get healthy and get back out there and play some top-tier football again. Get out there and run for 400, 1,500 yards. Protect my guy, Anthony Richardson, who we need JT back there. The franchise needs him. The city needs him. And I've been telling you all along, Kay, I got positive vibes about this situation. I think Jonathan Taylor and Irsay figure this situation out sooner than later. And Jonathan Taylor goes on to have a great, all-time great running back career in that Indianapolis Colts jersey. I think they figured it out, but absolutely not. Do not take Kay's advice, JT. Do not go the Harden route here. Please.
Well, I think I just fell in love with the Harden, fat suit thing. What do you make of that? And I think he put it on his Instagram, too. Look.
That's him. Whenever he's trying to finesse his way out of his situation, he knows how to do it. That's the guy to do it. But I mean, the grass ain't always greener, especially for these running backs. You see Jacobs, I think I heard reports that he's showing back up for Raiders. Pollard's on the franchise. Saquon, he worked out something to get a little better deal. Dalvin Cook just got picked up, end of August. So it's tough out. It's tough sledding out there for running backs, man. I think you stay home. You stay where you're comfortable, and I think it'll end up working out in the long term for both sides. At least I'm hopeful for that.
I like that you telling me that there's positive vibes, then I feel like you're the Colts, you're there, the whole situation, and I'm in. Now let's talk about these Bills. Rough outing against Pittsburgh on Saturday. The first team offense and defense both struggled. McDermott called it unacceptable. Do the Bills have issues this season?
I mean, the issues, whatever the issues they have, we knew they had the little, Diggs and Josh Allen not necessarily been on the same page. We don't know still what exactly was going on there. Leslie Frazier departed from that, great defensive coordinator. There's some moving parts, and they've had the expectations coming into the season for the last few years now, Super Bowl or bust almost. Josh Allen he's had the MVP expectation. They kind of fell short. And while doing that, the rest of the division has gotten better. Dolphins, obviously, they have their issues right now going into the season. We know what the Jets are. And then the Patriots, a lot of question marks still there. But the division, the Jets and the Dolphins have kind of crept up. So I think the Jets end up winning this division. But the Bills, not too much cause of concern. You still got a top, probably 6-7 quarterback in the league with Josh Allen. You still got a bunch of good players on defense. Von Miller, he'll be returning at some point. Love Matt Milano. I saw you talking about him and Tua learning how to fall this year because he's taking judo classes, which is absolutely crazy. But I think the Bills will be okay. They'll still be up in that probably 10-11 win range right now.
So Josh Allen not a top 5 quarterback to you?
He's right there. He's right there. I will put Lamar over him. I'll put Burrow, Mahomes, Hurts.
Herbert?
So yeah, he's right there. Herbert, Herbert I love
Allen?
Herbert. So absolutely Herbert. Give me Herbert. Give me Herbert over Allen for sure. But Allen, he is a creator. I just downloaded Madden yesterday finally. If I had to go and create a quarterback on Madden, it would look very much like Josh Allen. So once again, they're in great hands. And who cares about my top 5 list?
I care about your top 5 list, but I do want to talk about the defense a little bit. That same game, Bills-Steelers, nice moment. I want you to break down what we saw with rookie corner Joey Porter Jr. This was his first interception. What do you think?
You get the pick, man. You get to hand the ball off to your pops, who's also a former great Steeler. Mm-hmm. I love it, man. And picks feel great anywhere. I don't care if it's one-on-ones in training camp. I don't care if it's joint practices, preseason games, real games. Picks always feel great, and they feel even better when your family's there to witness it. And that was a special moment for him. For his pops, I'm sure they've been thinking about this, dreaming about this. And it's only preseason, but it's still a huge, huge moment. So definitely love to see this. And I feel like a lot of the things we've been seeing with Joey Porter Jr. hasn't been so great, coming out as far as the media goes. So I'm glad to see this for the second round pick.
We love seeing that. Now, do you remember, Darius, your first regular season interception, who you picked off?
Damn. Yes. I do. It was
Roll
actually.
the tape.
It was actually. Oh, you guys got the tape. Ooh,
it was a
crazy. Yeah, it was that's right. That's the right one. It was a flash blizzard out there in New England. I mean, we beat the brakes off the Tennessee Titans this day. I think Brady probably threw for like 5-6 touchdowns in the first half. But go route, I think that's Nate Washington right there. Low ball, bad ball from Kerry Collins. Thank you. And that was actually it was some tragedy that took place with one of my college teammates, Jasper Howard, God rest his soul. He actually died that morning and went out there and played with a heavy heart and got my first interception. So very, very, very special moment for me in my career.
Wow, emotional and unforgettable, unbelievable.
Absolutely.
Now we saw your first pick. We saw Joey Porter's that was in the preseason. I want to know the DB that you want to put on the map. I know we talked during the draft. There were a lot. You couldn't pick one. There were a lot of DBs that you liked. Is there one that you're most intrigued by going into the season?
I love these young DBs. I love Brian Branch. I love Emmanuel Forbes. I love Christian Gonzalez up there in New England.
yeah.
But Devin Witherspoon out of Illinois, the top corner taken. And he joins a very, very, in my opinion, the most talented, the most deep secondary in the league with the Seattle Seahawks. So Witherspoon, him opposite of Tariq Woolen. I'm very excited to see how he steps in that role. Being opposite, a Pro Bowler last year, Woolen was. I think he could have been an All-Pro. I think 6 picks last year, big, tall, lanky guy. Witherspoon is the kind of opposite as far as how his body type is built, but he plays like he's 6'3", 250, the way he hits and plays. You got Love that they signed from the Giants. Jamal Adams should be back in the fold. Quandre Diggs, who's a Pro Bowler. Kobe Bryant, who played in that slot. Michael Jackson. So they got depth on that back end. I'm excited for that Seattle Seahawks group, and I'm excited to see where this top 10 pick fits in and kind of makes his hay in the league.
We love it. Darius Butler joining the show, the Man to Man podcast. Check him out. Excuse me, on ESPN. Congratulations.
Ooh, yeah. Big things coming this fall.
I know,
And
I
obviously
hear.
a lot.
I'm very
Can't wait.
excited. Yeah, I look at that smile on your face. We cannot wait for that to all kick off with McAfee, the whole experience starting early September. The season's almost here. We got one preseason game tonight, then one more preseason game for everybody to go, and then we're kicking off to 2023. Darius, we appreciate you. Up next, Sony Michelle is on the show, okay? He's calling it a career after 5 seasons. We're going to find out. I mean, I would have just quit the second, once I got that second ring, I would have said, okay, peace. Yeah, just like that. Deuces, I'm done. 2 Super Bowl rings, goodbye. We're going to talk to Sony after this.
31st pick, the New England Patriots select Sony Michelle.
They gon' see it when I come through.
To the end zone, Sony Michelle.
Are you looking at a champ?
Sony Michelle is loose. How about that?
Then I'm out of your league. Are you messing with a champ?
A 2-time champ. My next guest, that's right, a 2-time Super Bowl winning back who spent 5 seasons in the NFL with the Patriots, the Rams, the Dolphins, and the Chargers. Please welcome Mr. Fly Guy, Sony Michelle.
How you doing? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Blessed, in a good place, happy. You know, can't really complain.
You know, I gotta say, it feels like just yesterday I was on that Good Morning Football set, and Stacy sent me your first edition signed jersey when you were a rookie, and then you're with the Rams, you win 2 Super Bowls, and you announce your retirement. Like, take me into, just tell me why you retired, Sony.
It was time. You know, when you know, you know. And I think a lot of people can attest to that in life. You know, you got choices. Sometimes some choices are harder than others. Sometimes choices are easier than others. And for me, I think I was walking away from this game with a clear heart, you know, with a humble heart, knowing it was my time. You know, I laid it all on the field. I'm able to walk away from this game excited what I put on the field, excited what I did on tape, and most importantly, excited about my impact that I left behind.
Now, when I have to make a decision, I'm calling everybody. I'm calling people who have to do with it. Like, I would call the NFL players, coaches. Like, who did you sort of talk to as you came to terms with that decision?
So in this process, I was talking to my fiance throughout the whole process, just kind of getting her take on things, telling her where my heart was, where my head was. Talking to my trainer back at home, Mike Smith. Those were the 2 people that I really leaned on making this decision. And, you know, I just came to the conclusion that, you know, on 3rd day of training camp that, you know, this might be it. This might be time for me to be able to just hang up the cleats.
How much did injuries play into it, Sony?
Injuries, I would say injuries was more something that was on the in a rearview mirror, something that I, you know, kind of dealt with in the past for the most part, because I had 2 fairly seasons being quite healthy. Now, I can say that I don't have to worry about being injured anymore. I don't have to worry about waking up sore anymore as much as I used to. But for me, you know, I just felt like I had a bigger calling. There was more that needed to be done off the field, and I feel like that was very important to me. That was heavy on my heart. That, you know, there's things that I want to do that I felt like is needed besides football.
I love that we hear players talking about that a lot, and they think about even while they're playing in their prime, which you could, you know, 5 years in, you could still keep going. There's bigger things. What are those bigger things, Sony? What do we have to look forward to?
Some of the bigger things. There's so much. You know, we'll be here all day, but the best way to describe it is impact. You know, my vision is how can I impact the younger generation? How can I impact you know, the youth? And I think that's the most important part because they are the future. I think for myself, I got to get in the community more. Yes, I could have done that playing football, but I really want to focus on just, you know, being in the community, being near those guys, you know, not being untouchable. You know, I want to be just another person to, you know, athletes, you know, students, anybody that I can impact. You know, I would love to just be able to be there and hopefully, you know, just be some form of a guide.
Sony, you make it sound like it wasn't a hard decision.
It was a hard decision from the aspect of walking away from something, that's been my identity for so long. I've been a football player. I've been an athlete for so long that, now, I can just be Sony. I can be Sony. I can just, go and really chase my dreams. Sometimes, we have dreams, and football was my dream. Mm-hmm. And I was able to accomplish that. I'm blessed to be able to accomplish that. But now there's other goals, and I want to be able to put my full focus on those other goals. And I've always told myself, man, if I put my focus the same way I focus on football, all this energy that I'm pouring into football, if I can pour that into something else, how far can I go? And, that's the quest that I'm on right now.
I love hearing that. I loved hearing the story of you, making that decision, which you're saying was a little tougher than even though you knew and you're very driven. I know you're very faith-driven as well. To have that group of people in the airport sort of be there right at the right time. Like, what did that feel like? And sort of explain what happened. You saw these, was it a choir?
So it was a group of church members.
Wow.
I won't necessarily say choir, but I was dropping off my rental car at the airport, carrying these 2 bags. It's like, this is everything I brought to LA with me for training camp. And I'm jumping on a shuttle that's going from Enterprise to the terminals. And one gentleman started talking to me, and he was just kind of like, hey, what are you doing here? And then I was kind of just like trying to give him, as little as possible without blowing who I was, and just kind of wanted to lay low in the moment, kind of take everything for myself. But he was kind of like fishing a little bit. And then, I was being honest with him. He was like, what are you doing here in LA? And I was like, I'm working, I play football. He's like, for who? And I was like, LA Rams. And then he automatically knew, Sony Michelle. Boom. Mm-hmm. And it was just an awesome moment because we were having, good talks. It was about 7 of them. We were just all throwing back different, topics and conversations about just my journey. And then they just asked me, hey, can we just lay our hands on you and pray? I was like, I love that. And, in the moment they were praying, all I could think about is look at God's work. As I exit one journey, enter into another one, I'm almost, this is fate. This is supposed to be happening. And I knew in that moment I made the right decision.
That's a really beautiful story. It's so powerful to even hear you retell it. You sort of light up, and I can't wait to see. I know you'll make an impact. I can't wait to see it. You're talking about talking to your fiance a lot. I was just curious because when I was thinking, man, if I was making that decision, who would I talk to? And Todd Gurley was in sort of a similar circumstance. Did anything he did by example or by advice help you in the process?
100%. Todd was a great helping hand. Throughout my full time, my 2.5 years in LA, I leaned on him. And he was one of the first people I texted. When I was on that bus, I texted him. I said, I'm done.
Wow.
And the first thing he said was, congratulations, man. Welcome to the other side. But he's always just been so, he's just got this presence about him. And anybody that knows him personally, they know, like, this man is so genuine. He's bigger than just Todd Gurley, the football player that everybody knows. He's a very genuine person. I think he's a great person to lean on, and I'm glad I kind of leaned on him throughout my journey of football.
So you retire. You're on a rental car, 2-time Super Bowl champion, Sony Michelle, on a rental shuttle, texting Todd Gurley, I'm done. He's receiving you on the other side of that. And then you have a group of churchgoers putting their... This was on the bus?
100% on the bus. Todd Gurley shot Todd Gurley a text, shot Nick Chubb a text, and they're texting back. And it's just like, these are my guys. So I'm like letting them know what's happening, what's about to break news, just giving a heads up. And it's almost like a laughing moment because this is like,
yeah,
this is a big stepping stone. But, it was great to share that moment with those guys.
It is, and that was your text in the whole group chain of 2014. That's the Georgia running back room, right? It was stacked. And if I think about it, you, Nick Chubb, Todd Gurley, could you ever have imagined that back in 2014, that all three of you would go on to achieve what you did. And then tell me a little something, give me a little something about your expectations for Nick Chubb, who's the last man standing, because I think there's a case to be made for him to lead the league in rushing this season.
Best running back in the NFL. And people that are watching this, they know it. I mean, he puts on like phenomenal years back to back. Like his numbers are incredible. Who he is, his character is incredible. He doesn't change. He's the same guy. Like if you watch him, his socks are on the same way every game. So this dude is like very like on a line. But this is a great person, good friend of mine. And one thing I'm excited about this year is getting my Nick Chubb jersey, putting it on, and going to Cleveland to support him. I think that's like on my checklist this year, like going to a game at Cleveland Browns.
Wait, I love that. And I need to see selfies and pictures of you there. Is that the best running back group in college history?
Yes.
Go on.
Yes. Arguably, yes.
Like who?
And it's a close second with Alabama. Close second.
I think y'all might have had it though.
We definitely had it. It's 1 and 2. Georgia #1, Alabama #2. Like look at that running back room right there.
It's pretty crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. And I'm just thinking, just where you were. What a crazy draft class back in 2014. That was absolutely insane. I want to talk to you a little bit about New England. They add, maybe you'll add a little analyst sprinkle into your future plans and goals. I would love to see that. They add Zeke Elliott. How do you feel about the fit?
Love it. New England Patriots are known for running the football. I started my career there, running the football, and they allowed me to get a great jump start on my career. Was able to run the ball a lot. Even though it's a different offensive coordinator, they're still gonna depend on the run game. You run the ball first. You got to establish the running game to establish the identity, the physical, the toughness. And Zeke, he's one of the top backs in the league right now. Still to this day, I have this argument all the time. He's still probably top 7.
Wow.
Top 7 running back. A lot of people was giving him a lot of slack for, what happened the past couple years. Oh, he's not the same Zeke. This dude was going still for 1,000 yards and he's still not the same. Like, he probably dropped off 200 yards and people were saying he fell off. Oh, he's not the same. He's the same Zeke. And now he's probably hungrier than ever on a different team, fresh start, with a little bit with some help. Mondre, I've seen that guy in person. I've seen that guy work in practice.
Yeah.
They have a great running back room. They got some other guys in that room that can complement those guys, and I'm excited to see what they put together.
I know what you're saying, but I feel for Ramondre, don't you? You know what this is like. This team.
No, they need each other. They need each other.
Okay.
You know me, I love some good competition, right?
Yeah.
Because Mondre is going to keep Zeke on top of his game, and Zeke's going to keep Mondre on top of his game. So,
Mondre doesn't need anybody to keep him on his game. Now I'm calling him Mondre. I've never called him that ever. Ramondre Stevenson had almost 1,500 yards last year. They take you with the highest draft pick, and they still stick you in a committee. Like, don't you empathize? Like, I feel bad for Mondre.
We're just going to get better. He's only going to get better by having another great running back next to him.
Let him shine. No, I want to Zeke's had his chance to eat. Like you said, it's been let Mondre shine. No.
I'm a New England fan. They drafted me. They allowed me to fill my dream. They started it off. They got me the jump start. Listen, we're trying to win. We want the best players in that locker room. And by having those two guys in the running back room, what better way to kick off the season with 2 horses ready to eat?
Yeah, that's true. But then, I mean, you got to tell me, you probably feel for the whole running back position. You're seeing what's going on. I had Antonio Gibson on my show, and he said, I played wide receiver in Memphis. I should have stayed playing wide receiver at Memphis. Melvin Gordon, who has a lot of success in the National Football League and, of course, in college, he said, I would rather play wide receiver. How do you feel about it? If you were to do it again, would you have chosen a different position?
No, I would have still play running back. Now, it is easier to say, like, oh, yeah, I would have wanted to play DN, but I ain't got that standing outside linebacker body type. But speaking of the running back position, I do believe, this whole conversation has just kind of just been, tough. And it's kind of sad for the position because it's so degraded. And I had this conversation with so many people, from coaches, just to get different perspectives. And thinking about the overall idea of the position, and people are saying how easily replaceable it is, and kind of like I would say, my name kind of gets brought up on why do you need to pay a running back when you got a guy like Sony Michelle who's not getting paid as much, but winning Super Bowls. My take on it is pay the running backs what they're worth. I'm not saying pay a running back for 4 or 5 years. If the concern is longevity, give me 2 years. Give me 3 years, but give me every single dime that I'm worth.
100%.
Nothing less, maybe nothing more, but give me everything that I'm worth.
That's exactly right. You got to get paid, putting yourself in the best position to make as much up front. I think the contract should be shorter. The rookie years, all of that. Let you negotiate, let you be at the table with these running backs. I think that's great advice. Now, really quick before I let you go, did Bill Belichick text you to wish you a happy retirement?
He didn't yet, because Bill is such a, once the season starts, once training camp starts, he's locked in.
Yeah.
Bill is locked in. People don't know, early mornings on that treadmill, flipping those pieces of paper. It's an action. So I know he's locked in. But he did, not too long ago, pretty late, but did congratulate me on my second Super Bowl.
Got it.
But,
He'll get to it. He'll get to it. He's in the lab. He's in the lab. Listen, let me be the first to say, or not the first, I won't be the last certainly, or the first, to just say it has been a pleasure to talk to you in the small times that I've been able to. You didn't get to talk much when you were in New England, but we saw what you did on the field. I've heard a lot about the kind of guy you were in the locker room, everywhere you were. So congratulations on the Super Bowls, on the achievements, and on making a very brave decision to make more of your platform than what some people would say, I could just do this for as long as my body will let me. So congrats to you. We're wishing you all the best in retirement, and please come back soon, okay?
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And congrats to you on your engagement, on all the things that are happening for you, and to Nick Chubb, who will lead the league in rushing, and Zeke Elliott, who's going to snag 11 touchdowns and leave Ramondre with just 2. That's what I think is going to happen. We appreciate Sony. We'll be back right here on Up and Adams. Big thanks to Darius Butler and Mr. Michelle for stopping by the show. So I'm a Dodgers girly, apparently. I've never been to a Dodgers game ever. I went to the Lady Gaga concert last September, but second game in a week. And I tweeted out, I live here now. I had some great comments, like, it sounds like a long walk to the bathroom, or like, what kind of food's in the fridge? Really fun game. Mookie Betts, so fun. LeBron James was there. It was a great night. It was really, really fun. And then, of course, this thing happened with the hurricane and the earthquake. And what am I looking at, Eric?
Hurricane.
A hurricane. Oh, this is Dodger Stadium?
That's Dodger Stadium.
That's my house?
Yeah.
Oh, man, there's a
It's a
moat. Alligators. We love it. We'll see you tomorrow. Oh, that's sad. Hey, thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest Up and Adams content right on YouTube.